जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद। श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radhe. Jai Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai Jaya, Gauranitai. Jai Jagannatha Jaya, Jagannatha Jaya, Baladeva Jaya, Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Sat. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So we will do in English. So translation. A lot of Western devotees are there. So we should do. So they asked me to have a poll whether the class should be in English or Hindi. But democracy doesn't always work very well. So at the last minute I have taken a decision to speak in English. So I can see many devotees who don't understand Hindi. तो क्लास आज हिंदी अंग्रेजी में करेंगे, तो अनुवाद की कोई व्यवस्था वहाँ हो सके तो बहुत अच्छा होगा. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, The Characteristics of King Puranjana. Text 26. Ka Tvam Kanja Palasha Akshe Kasya Asi Iha Kutaha Sati Imam Upa Purim Bhiru Kim Chikishasi Shamsa Me Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikishasi Shamsame Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikirshasi Shamsame Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikirshasi Shamsame. Please chant.
Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikirshasi Shamsame
Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikirshasi Shamsame Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Kim Chikirshasi Shamsame.
Mataji's, please.
Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi
Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Chikirshasi Shamsame
Katvam Kanjapala Shakshi
Kasya Siha Kutah Sati Imam Upapurim Bhiru Chikirshasi Shamsame. Ka Hu Tvam You Kanja Palasha, like the petals of the lotus. Akshi, eyes. Kasya, whose. Asi, you are. Iha, here. Kutah, where from. Sati, O chaste one, Imam, this, Upa, near, Purim, city, Bhiru, O timid one, Kim, what, Chikirshasi, you are trying to do, Shamsa, kindly explain, May, unto me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. My dear lotus-eyed, kindly explain to me where you are coming from, who you are, and whose daughter you are. You appear very chaste. What is the purpose of your coming here? What are you trying to do? Please explain all these things to me. Purport. The first aphorism in the Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahma Jignasa. In the human form of life, one should put many questions to himself and to his intelligence. In the various forms of life, lower than human life, the intelligence does not go beyond the range of life's primary necessities, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Dogs, cats, and tigers are always busy trying to find something to eat or a place to sleep, trying to defend and have sexual intercourse successfully. In the human form of life, however, one should be intelligent enough to ask what he is, why he has come into the world, and what his duty is. Who is the supreme controller? What is the difference between dull matter and the living entity, etc.? There are so many questions, and the person who is actually intelligent should simply inquire about the supreme source of everything. Athato Brahma Jignasa. A living entity is always connected with a certain amount of intelligence. But in the human form of life, the living entity must inquire about his spiritual identity. This is real human intelligence. It is said that one who is simply conscious of the body is no better than an animal, even though he may be in the human form. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15, Sri Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattaha smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. In the animal form, the living entity is completely forgetful of his relationship with God. This is called apohanam, or forgetfulness. In the human form of life, however, consciousness is more greatly developed, and consequently the human being has a chance to understand his relationship with God. In the human form, one should utilize his intelligence by asking all these questions, just as Puranjana, the living entity, is asking the unknown girl where she has come from, what her business is, why she is present, etc. These are inquiries about Atma Tattva, self-realization. The conclusion is that unless a living entity is inquisitive about self-realization, he is nothing but an animal. No, please don't. No, please. And especially when Radhesham Prabhu introduces somebody, then...
Please welcome.
No. Please. It's okay. It's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Radheshyam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
After your class?
No. Thank you. You will make me more disinclined to come to Pune if you introduce. Hare Krishna. I'm very, very happy to be here in Pune again, in this magnificent temple with so many devotees. The moment I entered, it was dazzling. And the realization I had is that it's dazzling not just because of the magnificent structures, but primarily because of the dazzling devotion of the devotees, the collective devotion, the effulgence. So I'm very, very happy to be back here again. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha namo mahavadanyaya krishna prema pradayate krishnaya krishna chaitanya namane gauratvishe namaha panchatattvatmakam krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatra Darahna Paraha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. The topic under discussion The topic being discussed here is the allegorical story of King Puranjan that is being narrated by Narad Muni to King Prachina Barhishat. The king was engaged excessively in fruitive activities, and Narad Muni wanted to bring him to his senses and to the platform of transcendental spiritual understanding, and to enable him to understand the nature of the conditioned living entity and how one should become free from that conditioned state of existence. He narrates this pastime or this story of King Puranjana. As has been explained in the previous verses and purports, the word Puranjana refers to the living entity, the spirit soul. Pura refers to the city, or in other words to the body, and Jana refers to the entity, the living entity within, the one who resides within the material body, the Dehi. Dehi is the one who resides in the Deha. Deha means the body. As in Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara. And Dehinaha, so of the Dehi, the one who is within the Deha. So Puranjana refers to the living entity, that is to all of us who are trapped in the cycle of birth and death in the material world. The living entity is constantly wandering in the material world in search of happiness. Now, in this allegorical story, we're just somewhat in the beginning, and Puranjana, as he wanders around, encounters this lady, beautiful young lady, and being intrigued, he asks her so many questions, as we see in the purport in the verse today. Who are you? Where are you coming from? Why are you here? And so on. We understand from Srila Prabhupada's purports that this lady represents intelligence. Intelligence is generally restless, and it is important that the intelligence be controlled and directed properly so it can control the mind. The intelligence is a very important topic for us to understand. Generally, in modern understanding, scientific understanding, intelligence is considered to be a product of certain chemical or electrochemical reactions going on in the brain. It's considered to be a product of the brain, of something material. So although intelligence in the material world is a material thing, but it is very subtle, as we hear in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhumirapanaluvayu kam mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme binna prakritir ashtadha. So this prakriti, this material nature is eightfold, ashtadha. And we have the 5 gross elements and the 3 subtle elements. And the intelligence is one of those 3 subtle elements of material nature. So it is not that the intelligence is synonymous with the brain. Rather, we can understand that the intelligence acts through the brain. The brain is simply an organ, it's simply an instrument. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhyah param manaha, manasastu parabuddhihi, yo buddhehe paratastu saha. Higher than dull matter are the senses, the indriyas. Higher than the indriyas is the mind. But higher than the mind is the intelligence, and even higher than the intelligence is he, that is the soul. So there is a hierarchy or a gradation of elements that are considered higher or lower in accordance with their importance, their value, and even ontologically their superior or inferior characteristics. So the intelligence is considered superior to all the other material elements that have been described in this verse, but it is still not spiritual because it is part of the material nature. However, the intelligence needs to be spiritualized. And that happens when the intelligence heeds the spiritual instructions. The soul is the spiritual entity that is within the material body that is seeking its own fulfillment. When one heeds spiritual instructions given by the scriptures, then the intelligence becomes sharp, it becomes purposeful, it becomes well directed. Srila Prabhupada alludes in his purports in the Bhagavad Gita to the famous analogy of the chariot of the body found in the Kathopanishad. Katha Upanishad. In this very significant analogy, the body is compared to a chariot. The 5 horses are compared to the 5 senses, the knowledge acquiring senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. The reins of the chariot are compared to the mind. The charioteer is compared to the intelligence, and the passenger sitting in the chariot to the soul. Now, and the various paths that the chariot faces in front of it are the various sense objects like sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, etc. So the horses, meaning the senses, are perpetually running after the sense objects for the purpose of gratification. And because the sense objects are innumerable, and because the senses are constantly running after the sense objects, there is a chaotic condition that ensues. Imagine in the analogy of the chariot, if the horses are running in different directions randomly, there will be chaos. So therefore these senses, or rather the horses, have to be controlled through the reins. The mind must control the senses. But because the mind itself is very restless and turbulent, as Krishna acknowledges when Arjuna declares the fragile condition of the mind, it also needs to be controlled. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayureva sudushkaram. So Arjuna tells Krishna that the mind is very restless, very turbulent, very obstinate, and to control it is even more difficult than controlling the mind, controlling the raging wind. So the mind in and of itself cannot direct the living entity in a proper direction unless it is controlled and directed by the higher power of the intelligence. If the intelligence itself is contaminated by material consideration, then it will not be able to control the mind. Rather, it will become an order supplier of the mind. So whatever the mind whimsically wants, it will direct the intelligence to fulfill its desire. So the intelligence will act in such a way as to fulfill the desires of the mind, which are endless. So the intelligence in the conditioned state of mind actually becomes a servant of the intelligence becomes a servant of the mind rather than controlling the mind. And for one whose mind is controlled, as we know, the perfection is reached. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. For one whose mind is controlled, the mind becomes the best friend. For one whose mind is not controlled, the mind becomes the worst enemy. So making the mind one's friend is the business of the intelligence. So the intelligence has to control the mind by the superior instructions that it receives from the Supreme Lord. And these instructions are received through the medium of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And also the Lord within. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport to this verse from Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is in the heart and He is providing that intelligence to the conditioned living entity. If the desires of the living entity are impure, then the intelligence will also act in an impure way. So strengthening of the intelligence happens by hearing about the Lord, by engaging one's intelligence in hearing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, by engaging the intelligence in studying Vedic literature, which is, according to Bhagavad Gita, worship of the Lord by one's intelligence. So this is how one can utilize every aspect of material nature in Krishna's service. So just as the gross physical senses and the mind can also be engaged in Krishna's service, the intelligence can also be used in Krishna's service by studying the Vedic literature, by hearing and deliberating upon spiritual knowledge as given in the scriptures. The intelligence is very important for us. We cannot function without intelligence. Srila Prabhupada says existence in life is not possible without intelligence. Even in spiritual life, one must question. And that is what this whole purport is all about. The process of inquiry. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Inquiry arises because of intelligence. However, as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, if inquiry is limited only to eating, sleeping, mating and defending, then that is no better than an animal. So the human being, to be truly considered a human being, must go beyond inquiries pertaining only to eating, sleeping, mating and defending, and must go to the platform of questioning one's existence. Who am I? Where have I come from? Why am I here? Where has everything come from? Why does everything or anything exist at all? Is there a God? If so, who is He? What is happiness? What is the path of true happiness? So these are the questions that every human being must ask. Elsewhere, we were in Aravade for the Brahmotsava. I was mentioning that Srila Prabhupada one time asked a question to the devotees. Who should accept a bona fide spirit? Who should accept a spiritual master? And he asked the devotees this question. And everybody answered, everyone should accept a spiritual master. And Prabhupada said, no. Only one who is seriously inquisitive should accept a spiritual master. Of course, he explains elsewhere that everyone should be spiritually inquisitive. But the fact is that everybody is not spiritually inquisitive. They're inquisitive about so many other things because there are hundreds and thousands of topics to discuss in material life. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. So, O King, Shukadev Goswami says, there are hundreds of topics to hear about and speak about in material life. And generally those who have no taste in spiritual inquiry relish such topics endlessly and absorb their mind and intelligence just in worldly discussions. So the unfortunate fact is that many people have no interest in making such spiritual inquiry. Therefore, such people should not approach a bona fide spiritual master. They should not accept a spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada says, just as a matter of fashion or as a matter of custom, as a formality, just because somebody else is doing it. Accepting a spiritual master is a very serious business. It is especially intended for one who is seriously inquisitive about the fundamental questions of life. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. So the characteristics of a disciple have been mentioned here. That one must be jigyasu, one must be inquisitive. About what? About shreya uttamam. Shreya, as opposed to preya, refers to one's long-term good, one's real welfare. Preyas refers to one's immediate good. But Shreyas is something deeper, something larger. And Uttamam refers to that which is transcendental. Tamaha means darkness or ignorance. Uttama means that which is beyond the darkness of ignorance. So one's inquisitiveness should be especially focused on topics of one's spiritual welfare. That is Shreya Uttamam. So such candidates should approach a bona fide spiritual master. So this is really the question of intelligence. And Srila Prabhupada explains in that purport to the verse Indriyani Paranyahur that it is the business of the intelligence to engage the mind in Krishna's service. When the intelligence is properly directed by spiritual instruction, then it can control the mind and engage it in Krishna consciousness. Then the mind will become strong spiritually, and then the mind will be able to control the senses, and then the whole chariot of the body will proceed in a very wholesome manner towards the path of liberation. Out of the innumerable paths available to the conditioned living entity in this world, that one path, the path towards liberation, is where one should be headed. Just as if one is moving from one city to another city, there is a main highway that connects the two cities, then one should head along that highway. One has so many options and distractions, so many other roads that one can go on to. But if one takes those other roads, one will never reach one's intended destination. So similarly, the actual destination of the conditioned living entity is Paramam Padam, the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. In fact, in the very same Kathopanishad, where this chariot of the body analogy is mentioned, right after that it mentions that the destination is actually the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So this should be the destination that the chariot strives to attain. And that is only possible when this process happens. The intelligence is nourished, nurtured, purified and strengthened by spiritual instructions coming from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. The intelligence controls the mind controls the senses, that is the horses, and then the chariot moves along towards the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. This is the mechanics of how the subtle mechanics of how everything operates. And interestingly, in the 26th chapter of the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila explains the characteristics of intelligence. Buddher Lakshanam. Lakshanam means the characteristics. He outlines 5 characteristics. Sanshayotha viparyaso nischayah smritirevacha swapa ityuchyate buddher lakshanam vrittitah prithak. Buddher lakshanam, the characteristics of intelligence can be understood according to vrittitaha prithak, the different functions that it performs. Intelligence has many functions, and these are all mentioned here by Lord Kapila. The first one, interestingly, is sanshayaha, which means to doubt. It is because we have intelligence that we tend to doubt. And the doubting process is the beginning. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to this verse, the doubt of one's own identity is where it all begins. Am I something material or am I something spiritual? The doubt. So when this doubt arises in one's mind, that is a reflection that the intelligence is acting properly. If the intelligence is fixed only in the material conception of life, where one understands oneself to be the body, and then acts merely to provide sense gratification, then that is improper use of intelligence. When the intelligence starts doubting, am I this body? The whole world is telling me that I am this body. The whole world is telling me that happiness can come from sense gratification. The whole world is telling me there is no creator, there is no God. Is this really true? So, the intelligence has started performing its real duty now, when the seed of doubt is planted or arises in the heart of that living entity. So one must doubt. Now, Srila Prabhupada offers some words of caution as well. He says, doubting is good in the beginning, but doubting is not helpful when it is directed towards the words coming from a superior authority, especially the words of the scripture. Then it is not good to doubt. Doubt must bring us to the point of accepting the words of the scripture. This is real intelligence. Real intelligence means to use our independence to make it subservient to the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So we say now the intelligence, we say now I will not use my ability of discrimination and doubting whimsically. I will accept the words of the scripture and place my faith in that. So Srila Prabhupada says, by the process of surrender, when the intelligence now submits itself to the superior wisdom of the scripture, then it finds its perfection. So this is samshaya, doubt. Now, the next step is viparyasa. Srila Prabhupada translates this viparyasa as misapprehension. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada clarifies what this means. He says that when one realizes the defect of considering oneself to be the body, that is called viparyasa. In the beginning, in the stage of samshaya, doubt, one doesn't know. One is asking the question, am I this body? Am I material? In the second stage, viparyasa, now he has understood that I am not this body. So he has given up this false conception of the bodily identity. That is also a function of the intelligence. And then nishchayaha, that's the third lakshanam or characteristic of intelligence. When the individual now gets the answer, I am not the body, yes, but who am I? I am the spirit soul. And I am an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore my duty in life is to surrender to Him and to develop your love for Him. And then to conduct the intelligence, mind and senses in Krishna's service, which is called devotional service. So by doing that, gradually, now the remembrance of Krishna consciousness is awakened. Because after all, Krishna consciousness, in Prabhupada's immortal words, is not an artificial imposition on the living entity. It is a natural energy of the soul. So by the process of samshaya, viparyasa, nishchayaha, one's original remembrance, so to speak, of the Supreme Lord, of one's original identity as a servant of the Supreme Lord is awakened. That is memory. Even in day-to-day function, we understand that memory is a function of the intelligence. And finally, there is svapa. Svapa means sleep. Now this may seem a little out of place, because what has sleep got to do with intelligence? So Srila Prabhupada clarifies that as well, and says that if you don't sleep, your brain won't work. The brain doesn't work, so one needs to refresh the brain. Even though intelligence is not a product of the brain, it still utilizes the brain for functioning. Just like even though we are not the body, but we are utilizing the physical body for devotional service, and when the physical body is fatigued, we need to give it some rest. So when the body is refreshed, we can again use the body in Krishna's service. So similarly with the brain, which is an instrument that the subtle intelligence uses for performing functions within this world. In this way, the 5 characteristics of the intelligence have been delineated by Kapila Dev. So the nourishment of the intelligence is the key to success in life. The proper nourishment. Just as if we are malnourished physically, we will fall sick. If we eat the wrong kinds of foods, then also we fall sick. In order to be healthy, the body must consume the proper kind of food. Similarly, for the intelligence to be nourished, it also needs the proper diet. So the proper diet for the intelligence is what we are doing just now. Sitting and hearing and speaking the words of the scripture. Engaging the intelligence in trying to understand spiritual knowledge, and then devising ways and means to engage the mind and senses in the devotional service of Krishna. So I think we've run over time now. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. It might have been a little technical session, I don't know, but anyway, thank you. So we have many of our senior devotees present here. So I would like to invite comments, any additional comments on this verse and purport from anyone. Yes, Atul Krishna Prabhu is here. Our Mayapur Pandit.
Goshan, materially speaking, it's described as intelligent. And, for example, someone may score higher marks in a test, and they're called intelligent. So what's the difference between that and the strength of intelligence that you've been describing? And is that material intelligence, is that an asset for spiritual development?
Okay, thank you. The question is about material intelligence, and if it is strong from a material point of view, is it an asset or not? Anything in the material world that could be utilized in the service of Krishna must be used in the service of Krishna, and that is how it becomes valuable or good. If something is not utilized in the service of Krishna, even though it may be considered good or strong from material estimation, is not considered good from spiritual estimation. So materially one may be very intelligent, But if that intelligence is not used in the service of Krishna, then we don't consider it good. It is contaminated intelligence. We recognize that there are many scientists and philosophers who are very intelligent. Prabhupada also acknowledges that. Because without such intelligence, they can't come up with all these ingenious theories. It requires so much intelligence to do all the things that they do. To write all those big books and those theories and so on. But it is misdirected intelligence. It is intelligence that has been stolen by Maya, Mayaya Paharita Jnana. So whether one's intelligence, materially speaking, is strong or weak, is perhaps not the most important thing. The important thing is whether that intelligence is used in the service of Krishna. If one has materially strong intelligence and one uses that for Krishna, then one can do so much service. Then one can use that to convince thousands and thousands of people about Krishna consciousness. Right? Okay, any other comments or questions? Mahaman Prabhu or? Okay.
Thank you very much for this wonderful class, Maharaj. One anecdote I'd like to share.
Please.
Concerning Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was asked once, what is the difference between the mind and the intelligence? And Srila Prabhupada said that it's like a person is going on the top of the roof and going to jump from the top of the roof, but some intelligence that stops him from jumping from the roof. That's the difference between mind and intelligence. Thank you very much for this class, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, intelligence is the power to discriminate. Vivek. Doubt it. Thank you. Any one last comment or question? Anyone? Yes. Hare Krishna. Yagipur. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, thank you very much.
All the VIHE scholars or MIHE and VIHE scholars speaking today.
This is a question that has several answers, and I'm interested to hear yours.
And that is one of the problems in dealing with a scholar. They want to put you in a box and they...
I'm trying to explain my understanding. Because
Yes. No, I was just joking. Please, go on.
Intelligence here is the driver and it's supposed to control the mind. It's about the mind.
Yes.
However, if you go back to Kapila Shiksha, Sankhya explained in Canto 3, we see that intelligence is placed under Rajagun, whereas mind is placed under Sattvagun.
Yes.
So the natural question is why the higher intelligence is passion or rajas and lower mind is in the higher mood or Sattvagun. So how do you answer this question, please? Thank you.
Interesting question. It has occurred several times in discussions. In my answer, I cannot cite any Shastric reference or any Acharya's comments. One answer would be, that's just the way it is. One answer, it's just, that's how it is. It's a natural question that comes up. Why is intelligence, which is considered superior to mind in the mode of passion, and this in the mode of goodness? However, here the point is that it is the origin that is the mode of passion. The mode of passion is the origin of intelligence. But that intelligence can now be dovetailed in Krishna's service. The mind originates from the mode of goodness, but then it gets contaminated by the material elements. That's one part of it. The other, I guess, is, Kshatriya is in the mode of passion, right? He has to control everybody. So the intelligence is supposed to control the mind. The intelligence has to become strong. If the Kshatriya is misdirected, he can create havoc. The intelligence is our guardian. it protects us from doing wrong things. In the example that Mahaman Prabhu gave, someone's about to jump off the roof, the intelligence protects him. Protection is a task, that's sometimes given to a Kshatriya. So the intelligence has to act like that as our protector. But the intelligence also needs to be guided in as much as the king needs to be guided by the brahmanas. So the intelligence also needs good instruction, the spiritual instructions coming from the scriptures. Okay, so that's just a few thoughts. Okay. Sorry? Yeah, okay.
Because Maharaj is not allowed me to introduce them. Can you very briefly tell about it?
No, please. Okay, I think we'll end here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Hare
I
Krishna.
say one word. Maharaj is SSS. I can call him as SSS. He's always in the mood of servant of the servant of the servant. And also he's a sweet speaking swan.